Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Melly.
And Shally.
So it's our Liqui Moly unpacked. We take whatever you might think is a little bit too difficult and we make it easy and simple in a way that everybody can understand. So Shally, our engineer, and he put it in a way that all engineers and mechanics will understand, but then I come and I make it a bit easier on other uses. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we today are going to look at our sprays. So what is something that you get about this question with the sprays quite often, Shally?
Biggest confusion is there are so many sprays out there in the market, and I'm not always sure which spray to use in which application. So that is the biggest confusion, because you might be going to a store and quickly looking at, oh, let me just grab a spray to use at home. But it's not always the correct application. So today, the video, and to all our viewers, is to just identify a few sprays and a few things to look out for when you're using it in applications, and why would you use it there. So it's a very basic topic.
So I have walked into workshops or spoken to people and they said, oh, I used your spray and it didn't work. And then the first thing I would say, which spray and what did you want it to do? Because we have a number of sprays. I mean, in our range, we have over 4,000 products. Sprays is a huge part of that. And there's a couple of questions you have to ask if you want to spray something, whether it's going to be outside, how often do you want to apply this, do you want it to drip, what is the function that you want it to be able to achieve. So those are a couple of things you have to look at. So we're going to take a couple of our products today and just make it simple to be able to understand what you would use where and what makes them different in the Liqui Moly range.
Yeah, so to start off, we all know Liqui Moly is a big fanatic when it comes to racing. And why not start this actually show with a good race between Melly and myself. So that is the easiest way to quickly show you the visual aspects of looking at a penetrating oil, which will be covering the LM40. So a lot of you know a multi-purpose spray, and you use it in many applications, but you're not always sure why you use it there. So this will explain quick and easy tips on how to use it, and especially why would you use it.
So I know there's a lot of different names for a multi-purpose spray. There's a brand in South Africa that's very popular, and I've walked into workshops and they called it spookbus, and you get multi-purpose and all different kinds of names. Liqui Moly's multi-purpose spray is called LM40, and there's a lot of, and I think another question is, okay, but what makes Liqui Moly's product different? So we want to show you the visual effects, and as Shally mentioned, we're going to put a little bit of an erase to show you what are the benefits and the differences in our multi-purpose spray. So we're going to start with a little bit of a race. So we've got two glasses here. Mm-hmm. And so the one thing about a multi-purpose spray is you want to make sure that it can protect against water. So what we are going to do now is we've got two glasses of water, and we have wooden pallets, very small wooden pallets. I wouldn't put any stock on this pallet.
And there's no advantage to anyone.
Yeah, same size, glasses of water. So what we're going to do is just drop both of them at the same time in the water, so you can't have been cheating. Kom, gooi. Okay, so I haven't added any LM40 onto my pallet.
Yeah, so that was the actual idea of the race.
Okay.
We can do that again.
Okay, so
but this time we're going to spray Melisha's one with LM40, and mine will just be covered with water. So now this is the ultimate challenge. Now we have to see what is the actual water displacement properties of this LM40, because if it will increase in this race, what's going to happen is it will not include the water within the pellet, and it will not absorb it in order to swell.
So I've taken the pellet, I've actually just dipped it into the LM40, and we're going to do it again. Okay. So the one pellet in my glass will have LM40 that is sprayed on it. The other one is just as we dropped it into the water without anything sprayed on it. I'll already look at the glass of Shally, and it's expanded. It's a little bit of a bigger palette already. And I think at the same time, the advantage now is going to be able to see both glasses and see if there's a difference between the two pallets we put into the water afterwards, and to be able to see if there's going to be a difference with the one that I sprayed with Liqui Moly and the one that Shally put into the glass that had no Liqui Moly LM40 sprayed on it. In the time that we're waiting for those two pallets to be able to see if there's going to be any difference, I'm going to also do it in another way. All of us know Disprins.
Disprins.
So if you have a headache, then this is a really good product to use. So you'll see it's an effervescent tablet. So the important part is you have to drop it into water for it to be able to dissolve.
Yes, sir.
So Shally is going to take his Disprin. Just wait for me so that I can spray some LM40 on it before you start your race.
Yeah, I think this is quite a fair competition because it's not only one material we're having being applied to the LM40, but also a different way of looking at it and exactly showing you if it does not dissolve, how amazing this LM40 is. So
it's LM40 sprayed on my Disprin. I've put it in a little cup so I don't get my fingers all wet. And he's got his Disprin in the natural way that it comes out of the packet. So both of us.
3, 2,
and
go.
drop. Okay. So
ultimately you can see my Disprin is already busy dissolving here. And this is just the effect of the water getting into all the structure of the Disprin in order to release it and actually dissolve. So ideally this is what you want if you're having some headaches or you want to actually consume this. I wouldn't suggest using LM40 for this because it's you might swallow it just like that.
So this will be useless if you give it to your husband or your wife to take a headache away and you've dipped it into LM40 before that. So you can still see Shally's glass, the Disprin has dissolved. Mine, the palette that was dripped in the LM40 is still its same shape. And the Disprin has a couple of bubbles that's coming up, but it's still in its same condition. It hasn't dissolved. And we'll actually take a look at this glass at the end of Melly and Shally and see what's been happening to it.
Yeah, so one of the amazing things, as we mentioned, it is water displacement properties, but also the creeping properties, because in order to get into the surface structure of a Disprin, you can just imagine how microscopic that is. So it actually represents two properties within one product, and that is quite amazing if you compare it to what else is available.
So I know, Shally, the other thing about the LM40 is it's got a 97% on it. This is not the markings you'd got in high school. So 97%. 97% is the working agent.
Yes.
So if you would take the same 400 milliliter can, and most multiple purpose sprays have only 60% working agent, and you'd spray all of it out, you'll see there's a lot more working agent in the LM40, so a lot more value for your money.
Definitely.
So the next step that we want to show you the creeping properties of the LM40 is we're taking two glass plates. So if you can't see them, it's because they're glass. And we're using glass plates because it'll be you'll be able to see what we're trying to show, but also there's a very little tolerances between the glass plates. So that's going to help us to be able to make sure there's no air in between. So we're using...
You can pass it to me, Mel. Can I help you there?
Okay. So just this, if you would get these clamps on the wrong places, it might
it's bigger than some people's muscles, so that's why we use this.
Okay, so if you can just so I'm gonna. It's turned a little bit down so that the LM40 has to creep up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray the LM40 at the bottom. Just want to get a cloth so that it doesn't drip all over the floor. But if you take it closer to Shally's shirt, I don't know if you can see it from that. You can see the creeping properties. So here's a line now where you can see the LM40 is running all the way between the two glass plates. Now, this trick, what is it supposed to show you? So many times you spray, and where that you're actually spraying the LM40, you want it to creep as far as possible to be able to make sure that it actually gets to the area that you want to make sure that there's no water, there's going to no rust is going to happen. So this just shows you the unbelievable creeping properties of the LM40 because these clamps, I battled to just get them off the piece of wood and they're running all the way. So it's so amazing to see how far, and now they will run as far as they possibly can. So now you know if you're going to spray somewhere on a screw or on a bolt or a nut or somewhere in the car. I know I use it a lot on my bicycle after I've washed it to displace all the water.
Yes.
It is going to go in as deep as possible to be able to make sure that it can prevent the water from causing rust.
Yes. An amazing thing is, especially in industrial applications, there's many cases where I've seen huge plant pumps, those sections, so they have flanged bolt sections. And what happens is there's quite a lot of rust building up, and because of that, this is actually seen as a penetrating oil as well. So, like Manisha mentioned, to creep into those small tolerances, we need a lubricant just to break open that seams of the actual threaded nuts and bolts. So it's really, really amazing to do that.
Okay, that's awesome. Another thing I love about the LM40 is it doesn't smell like oil.
Yeah.
There's a lot of multi-purpose products that if you spray it in your car or anywhere, you smell like a grease monkey. Not that there's anything bad about a grease monkey, but I mean, you don't always want your car to smell like grease. So this has got a nice kind of coconut kind of smell to it. That doesn't mean you're going to use it as a suntan oil, but it's unbelievable that you don't have that oil smell in your car when you do that. Now, Shally, when we sprayed it onto that glass plate, it was dripping.
Yes.
So because it has the very high creeping properties, that has then the effect that it actually drips. So I know now I have plastic parts in my car and I want to be able to spray it on to take that squeaking noise away. But if I know if I'm going to use the LM40, it's going to drip. So what would I use instead of LM40 that I want to make sure I can stop the squeaking, but at the same time that I don't need it to creep. I don't want it to drip. So what would your recommendation be there?
Yeah, so we have an amazing product we developed in our Pro line range. This is actually called our Tacky lube spray. Let me just make sure which one I'm taking here. Yes, this one. So this is called a Tacky lube spray. You'll notice we also have a Tacky on this video today, but it's not actually meant for that. Tacky lube spray is a lubricant that does not have the creeping properties as LM40, but it has very good adhesive properties. So as Mel mentioned, that you want a lubrication in a certain specific joint or wherever you're going to use it, but it does not drip and it cannot be affected by water. So it's got amazing water resistant properties. So to quickly demonstrate this product, it's really amazing. So in terms of, this is the Pro line range. I don't know if you've seen it before. What makes it really amazing is it's very easy to, let me turn it like this. It's very easy to use. This is very comfortable for your hand. You can have a peripheral spray, so a general area application wherever you want to spray. But if it becomes hard or difficult to get into the certain hard to reach places, you can actually just use this little peepee on the front here, extension. And it is quite easy to get into the hard to reach places. The nice thing about the Pro line range as well is you can use it upside down. So if you're working on the car underneath, it's always easy to use as well.
So if you're busy doing downward dog with yoga, you can use this.
Yeah, I don't do yoga, so I'm not sure what it is, but I have to agree there.
That's awesome because I know there's a lot of cans. I know if I use the LM40 and I spray it upside down, it eventually has, it loses its pressure. So the amazing thing about the Pro line range and the design of the can is that you can spray it upside down for how long as what you want to, and it's not going to lose pressure.
Yeah, perfect. So not to keep you in suspense, I'm quickly going to demonstrate this. We have a simple glass, so you can also see how it works. So the idea is I'm just going to spray a bit on a piece of glass here. And you'll see it dissolves quite quickly, so it leaves a very adherent, sticky, grease-like lubricant behind. And the amazing thing about this is then, as soon as it's dried out, I don't know if you can see that. Quite easy. Cool, so if I actually touch this, you can see it's quite sticky to use. Right, but now we want to test the water displacement properties. Not water displacement, the actual water resistant properties. So what I'm going to do, Mel, if you can just hold it for me like that, I've got a little bit of water here. And this is the ultimate effect, depending on the environment as well, because there's a lot of applications where you have water present, and here you can see it's not being affected by the water. So that is especially why you need it in certain environments. Especially now that rainy season is coming and it is outside conditions, we actually want to apply this. So it's really, really amazing product, and it's complete the opposite of LM40.
So where would so LM40, I know I use it on my bicycle, anything that I've washed that I want to make sure that it can displace the water, it needs to creep, it drips as well. I know as well if I put it on my outside gate that's squeaking, it only lasts for a certain while because it has all those creeping properties and weather affects it a little bit more. But where are all the places that I would then use the Tacky lube spray? I mentioned that if you have plastic parts in your car that's actually squeaking, that applying that's not going to drip, it's going to also take that squeakiness away. But what other places would you apply it?
So especially joints where you have like billet joints, that's metal on metal, and it's exposed to environment. So on general gates outside, that's something we can use, because if you use the LM40, it might stop the squeak temporarily. But as soon as the rain comes or there's any weathering, or especially when heat is present, it will remove that layer of lubrication, and this will be adherent, so it will stay in that application. So there's quite many, especially in the automotive sector, but in terms of DIY, this is especially where you would like to use this.
Okay, awesome. So now we have creeping properties of the LM40, the sticky properties of the Tacky lube spray, and also water resistant. But then we get to situations where we really want to have a spray that we want to use, but because I mean, all of these are sticky, so they'll have still that attraction to dust and to some other kind of residues.
Yes.
But if I want to have an application and I know I don't want greasiness in there, I want it to be able to be protected and I want it to be lubricated, but I don't want it to be sticky or oily. What would be the product that you would recommend to use?
Right, so also in the ProLine range, it's a very exclusive range for what we developed. In the ProLine range, we have something called the spray powder PTFE. So PTFE is a thermoplastic that was developed, and it's almost like a white lubricant. It has really amazing water properties, but also in terms of the PTFE, it is not adherent to any chemicals, so it cannot be damaged by any chemicals, and that is a really amazing thing about this. On the other hand, the PTFE is also a dry lubricant that does not contain any oil bases, so it would not attract any dust. So now I know the question you're going to ask, where can I use this? Especially in the auto body sector, where you have maybe panels and you have to paint. Silicones and oils, or like a silicone especially, is a molecule that is airborne and it infects the paint surfaces. So as soon as you want to paint that nice Mercedes AMG or even your little Uno, it really helps not having a silicone-based oil present. So this is where you're going to be able to use this PTFE powder. And yeah, PTFE has been around for quite some time. You probably know it in cooking utensils and ware. So based on that, you know, it's a very good water displacement. They call it hydrophobic properties. So water cannot attract to it.
Hydrophobic properties.
Hydrophobic.
Okay, got it. So I know as well, I mean, if I look at the seat belt of the car, that's something you're going to pull over your clothing. So if you want to lubricate that, you're going to be able to use the PTFE powder spray. If I think of the sunroof, I also think of the squeaking windows that you have that happens when there's quite a lot of rain, that when you put the window up, it goes all crazy. So I understand that there's quite a lot that I can immediately think of, but I want to illustrate to everybody the difference. So LM40 that we've just showed, this is a lubricant and it has an oiliness to it. It doesn't contain silicone, but still oiliness. So if I would put it on a piece of paper or I sprayed some on my pants, sorry, just I just want to show you the difference. So I'm going to also use the PTFE powder spray on the same piece of paper. So the difference, and I'm going to blow from the backside of this piece of paper. Just watch whatever I say. Okay, so if I blow on the LM40 to dry it up, I mean, I can leave this piece of paper for quite some time. You will see, even if I take the small little pieces, it's going to stay wet, or if I say wet, it's going to stay that oiliness to it. But here I've sprayed the PTFE and it's almost already dry, and you can see it doesn't leave an oily stain behind. But if I can feel the protection on the paper. So that just gives you the idea, the lubricant on the one side that has that oiliness to it, and the PTFE that I've sprayed on this paper, when it dries up, you can see there's no oiliness to it. So that'll help you to be able to identify exactly where you would need to apply this product, everywhere that you would not want it to attract dust, and you don't want any oiliness to it. So if I then want to go and I see, okay, I know there's a product in Liqui Moly that now has taken the amazing Tacky lube spray and the PTFE powder spray that we've just mentioned and combined the two of them, and that is our high-performance lube spray. So, Shally, if you can just give us an idea. I know this is a combination of the PTFE spray and the Tacky lube, but now it's not a dry lubricant, but what makes it different? Why would they add that? Is it because of the PTFE properties? So what makes it different?
So in terms of the PTFE, the one we just covered, PTFE is an amazing product because it leaves a solid friction modifier behind on the surface itself. However, it does not have any penetrating properties. So in places like the PTFE where you can use it is on your polyurethane bushings for suspension. That's one property where you can use it on your vehicle itself, so it doesn't attract any dust, and it has no oiliness to enhance residues accumulating. However, this one, it combines the tackiness, adhesiveness of the Tacky lube spray with the PTFE. So in case, in terms of the lubrication film, as soon as you lose any lubrication on tackiness, you still have the solid friction modifier to take over as extreme running conditions.
Oh wow! So best of both worlds in that combination. So that's. I mean, I've had a lot of feedback about the high performance lube spray and how it has, just by adding that extra PTFE to the Tacky lube, it has made such a huge impact at homes and also in workshops. So I know I know we're going through a couple of different sprays, and I have been fortunate to just spray my pants with LM40. So a product that we also want to share with everybody is our break and part cleaner. So this is a spray that I also believe that every household should have. But it is used quite often in workshops to clean, and I think Shally will just show you what we mean when we talk about cleaning. So everywhere where there's grease, if I think of chains, if I think of dirty parts in vehicles that you want to clean, you want to make sure there's no residue that's left behind, then this is the application that you would use.
Yeah, that's perfect. So in terms of the break and pass cleaner, it's developed as a high-pressure degreaser, a solvent as most people know it. And the amazing thing about this is it is used as a degreaser for oily surface and even grease surface. So what it actually does, it breaks the chemical bond of those agents to release it and remove it from a certain application. Basic idea where this is used especially is on your drum discs and brakes, and also the brake pads, to reduce that carbon dust that starts building up, and you can actually hear it squeaking. But in many different applications, in workshops especially, they use it as a degreaser. So that is the biggest concern. You can see we have a con rod, and it is covered full of grease. So just quickly want to show you how easy it is to clean this. Melly, if you want to spray, you can get me.
No, you can spray.
No,
I've sprayed myself with LM40 already.
You can spray, it's fine.
Oops. So the amazing thing about the break and part cleaner in the aerosol can is it has very high force. So I hope I'm going to miss whoever stands behind the camera. So it's got very high pressure that it actually force that it sprays out. So if you have a chain or somewhere that you want to reach and force the dirt off, it's great to use the can. And we also have it in 5 liters and in 60 liters, depending on if you want to dip the engine or part in it. But just to be able to show you, we're getting ourselves nice and dirty.
The really amazing thing about this product is the evaporation rate is really, really high. So you can see as soon as Melly's done here, I'll quickly just blow on this. And it's already dry. So that is one of the great properties of this break and parts cleaner. And also it does not contain any acetone, so it's an acetone-free break and part cleaner. The reason why that is very important is not only toxic to humans, but also acetone has a tendency to damage plastics and rubbers. So should you use a acetone-based break and part cleaner, just ensure that you double-check where you spray this, so it doesn't come in contact with painted surfaces. And the easy way to actually check this is just use a piece of polystyrene. If you spray it and it absorbs that product, and it
you know you're not supposed to use it for no surfaces.
Yeah, it puffers up. I don't know how do you call it. No, actually, Afrikaans, sorry guys. But it's you can actually see it acetone-containing break and parts cleaner.
So ours don't contain that. So when you spray your seals and things or touch anything in the engine, you know it's going to clean it, but it's not going to cause any harm. Now, from my side, the place in my house that I absolutely love using this product, South Africans love to braai. And when you're standing and you're not sure if the wors is ready, and you try to take your knife and you just want to make sure that the wors is ready to take off, then it normally has a little bit of a spray. I mean, it can happen so many things, a little bit clumsy, and you get some of your clothing that has these oily stains on it, or you worked in the garage, you were cleaning your bicycle, your car, you have all these stains. So my pants have just gotten some LM40 on it. So one of the best things to be able to do is to just spray it. And when I take it off, throw it into the washing, and those oiliness will come off. It will not damage the color of your clothing. It won't damage any of the texture. So if you have those little spots that if you wash it, you're going to be in a see-through, you can just spot everywhere on those marks on your clothing, throw it in the washing machine, and voila, magic. So that is our break and part cleaner. Cleans, takes off all the grease, dries very quickly, but at the same time, you can also use it for your clothing. And the next product, or the last product we want to cover, is our cold spray. Now, Shally, you can just tell everybody what the cold spray is really designed for.
Well, if you want to use it in our conditions currently now, it's not meant for that because it's really cold outside, so please don't use it on yourself. But the cold spray is a development from Liqui Moly that really actually helps with checking your temperature sensors. It is a spray that gets extremely cold, and you can see it's minus 45 degrees, so it's a butane or propane that they actually call it. And it's almost like nitrogen, so as soon as you use it in application, it really shrinks that application. So if I give you a visual advantage, we would use it is by fitting bearings on shafts. So there's a little tolerances, they call it interference tolerances, and by using this product, it just shrinks it enough to get a bearing onto the shaft. In medical industry, they actually use this for medical practices to look at strands, and they actually cool the strands for them to check microscopic behaviors of the cells.
Okay, so that's where you use it in a medical situation. So if you're a racing driver, our Engsler team, and I know a lot of our racing team all around the world, you're in your racing overall, you're in the car, they've stopped the race because someone has had a crash, then they put an extra pipe on the on the cold spray, and it actually puts it into their racing suits and cool themselves down. The other effect of it,
Okay, cool.
The other effect, I know there's certain drinks that they recommend that you drink it at minus 2 degrees, and you'll be in a situation where you might not have a fridge or anything with you. So this is a product that's safe. I mean, if I can spray it all over, it's just cooling it down to that minus 45 degrees, and just to be able to give you a visual idea of what that looks like without having too much of it.
So this is quite suited, especially now, because of the alcohol restrictions being lifted. So if you have a friend on his way and he actually forgot that he's coming over and you didn't put the beers in the fridge, this is your alternative option. Just to quickly freeze it up and make sure you guys have a nice and cold one.
Yeah, so there, that little bit of water has been frozen. So if those beers are warm, which is never nice, you can quickly cool it down. And a product with many functions, but also some that you can use in your household, whether it is then to cool yourself down if you're in a warm area. So many things that we multitask on our product range. So that is the products we want to cover for today. So many sprays, but I think the important part is for you to just to be established what do you want to achieve. And we didn't cover all our sprays, and that's why we ask everybody that if you have a spray that you're not sure of, if there's an application you want to use specific something for or want to achieve a certain result, please send us comments. We'll have our technical support. We have our team that will help and to be able to identify the right product for whatever you want to achieve. And I mean, there are so many in our ProLine range, within the rest of our range. So we want to make sure that you get the best results, but that is identifying what you want to achieve and then making sure you are using the spray to achieve that result. So if we just go back to my glass and then we look at the Disprin and we look at the palette, both of them still in 100% condition. The Disprin is still not dissolved. The palette that I sprayed is still in its original condition. And look at this mess that's in this glass. A little bit of a palette, a little bit Disprin mixture.
This is on his way to making paper.
So the LM40, all the different products, great to be able to use all over your household and in your garage and in your work environment. So we really enjoy doing these different things so that you can see what these products can actually add value to you. Our next Melly and Shally show will be on the 17th of June. We're going to cover oil, but we're going to make oil simple so that my mother can understand it.
Very basic.
So we want to just go into the basics of oil, and if you have anything else that you want us to do in the Melly and Shally show, please send us your comments, tell us what you want us to unpack, what to make simpler, and we will find ways to be able to identify and bring a visual effect to what the products can actually do. And we want to thank everybody out there that's been sending in their DIY videos. If you haven't been onto our DIY group, please make sure that you join the group, because everybody is sharing the most amazing tips and things that you can solve problems at home and in your workshop without any effort. And we really appreciate everybody that have taken the effort and sent those videos. And please keep them coming, because it's really, really stunning for us to also be able to see the way that you portray and use the products at home.
Perfect. So just on the topic of a DIY, there's also a competition that Mel mentioned previously, and I see there's quite amazing feeds coming in on social media and other platforms where these guys are competing in terms of workshop. That's one of the competitions running currently, and I must say I'm really impressed by some applications and the innovation that people take different steps on how to apply these products, and just make it easy for everyone to understand. Because sometimes taking a car to a technician is very difficult, but as soon as they explain why they're using those things, those applications and different products, it makes it very easy for you to understand why would you need it. So yeah, it's really amazing. And on the competition, Mel, how's it? What is the feedback there?
Oh, so everybody in the different workshop DIY videos, they're coming in big and strong, and I know there's been some amazing ideas been thrown around. So please go and make sure that you have liked our Facebook page, that you've joined our DIY group, that you are linked onto our website to make sure that you're informed of everything that's going on. So it's a Melly and Shally show where we try to make things simple for you to understand or to see where to apply it, but also we have competitions to make it fun. And on the DIY aspect, we have the new Liqui Moly competition where you can be creative and actually show your portray or your way that you see your passion for Liqui Moly. And there's a couple of other competitions that will be launched in June, so please make sure you keep your eyes open and not be left behind when it comes to all the free things we're giving away. So from our side, we want to say thank you very much for the time. Thank you so much for tuning in. And please send those questions, send those comments. And if there's anything else you want us to cover, we would love to hear that, because we have put this together to make sure that we help you to make it simple. Thank you very much from Melly
and Shally. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.